Hi, this is Kamera. My first few minutes with God, day number 241, Ezekiel chapter 9 through chapter 12. The Lord thundered, bring on the men appointed to punish the city. Then he tells them to bring their weapons with them. 6 men appeared carrying deadly weapons, plus an extra man, one more man dressed in linen carrying a writer's case. The Lord tells the linen dressed men to go throughout the city and mark the foreheads of all who mourn over the detestable sins committed in the city. God then tells the other men, the 6 men with the weapons, to follow the linen dressed men, kill everyone throughout the city who is not marked, whose forehead is not marked. So they began first to kill those elders, the elders that were the 70 elders that were in the temple of the Lord, who were worshiping idols. Yeah, they started killing the elders first. Then they went throughout the city and they killed the young and the old, the men, the women, the children. And so God says that the sins of the people of Israel and Judah are very, very great. They think I don't see. They feel like God don't see what they're doing. So God says, I will not spare or pity them. So then he tells the the linen dressed man, he is done. So he comes back to report that he is done, marking the people who mourned the detestable things that were going on. The Lord tells the linen dressed man to take coals from the whirling wheels of the cherubim. Remember, the cherubims were mentioned earlier. And Ezekiel takes the time to describe the cherubims again in this chapter as well. So God tells this linen dressed man to take coals from the whirling wheels that were beneath or next to the cherubims, scatter these coals over the city. Yeah. So those cherubims, the same ones that were described at the Kabar River, the living beings, yeah, they're being described again. The glory of God moved out of the temple of God and it hovered over those cherubims. God takes Ezekiel to 25 prominent men of the city and he tells them what is going on. God tells them they are planning evil and they're giving wicked counsel. So God's message to those men, I know every thought that comes to mind. Ezekiel prophesies judgment and tells them, you have refused to obey my decrees, says God, and my regulations. Instead, you copy the standards of nations around you. While Ezekiel is prophesying, one of the men fall dead. So he's fearful now. He falls face down and he cries, Lord, are you going to kill everyone in Israel? So God, he replies that the people who remain in Jerusalem, they feel that the ones who are exiled are far from God and that God has given them, given the remaining people, the exiles, lands. But God has a message for the exiles. I scattered you and I will be your sanctuary. And I will give you Israel again. And he says the returning exiles will remove every trace of the vile images and detestable idols. They will truly be my people and I their God. The cherubim and the glory of the Lord left the city. And so Ezekiel, he was returned to the exiles back in Babylon. And he tells the exiles everything that God has showed him. Isn't that something? God tells Ezekiel he lives among rebellious people. They are rebels. They have eyes and they refuse. It's not they don't. They refuse to see. They have ears and they refuse to hear, for they are rebels. God tells Ezekiel to portray, to illustrate being sent in exile. So he goes through this whole thing where he prepares to escape. Yeah. He opens, cut out a wall. He has a backpack. He's leaving at night. He's covering his face. And then there's a message to Zedekiah. Remember, Zedekiah is still in Jerusalem at this time. There were some exiles that were sent to Babylon along with Jehoiakim, and Ezekiel happened to be one of them, but God still gave them messages. Remember, Zedekiah actually did exactly what Ezekiel portrayed. He did it. He did it. So that becomes Ezekiel's reality. That's what I say. And so God says the time has come for every prophecy to be fulfilled. No more delays. So there you have it. It's day number 241, Ezekiel chapter 9 through 12. You have a God-filled blessed day.